What's happening?
Get ready for us. We're going live.
Bruh.
Fellas,
It's a chance of the 3.5.
Cheers, bro. Cheers, fellas.
What's going on?
Look at that, man.
What's up?
It's a chance of the 3.5 to be a fly on the wall. At the barber shop or gym in the bathroom stall. Or when he's on his way from hanging out or work.
Hello.
At the end of the day, do you ever just want to get into a huddle to listen, rebuttal, or just plain understand what's happening in the cave of a man? Yeah.
Speak on it.
Of course.
3.5. Yeah.
All right.
To this day, if we start talking, it's 4 hours. It's 4 hours if we exchange a sentence.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like it's the center of why we've been able to sustain and the ability to work through issues.
Yeah.
I've never met another person that I connect with in conversation more blissfully and productively than Jada.
How long were you all actually separated? We never understood how long. Was it months or years?
It's really funny. We never actually like officially separated. Right? We agreed that she had to make herself happy and I had to make myself happy. And then we were going to present ourselves back to the relationship already happy versus demanding that the other person fill our empty cup.
Come to me whole, come to me with half of your broken self and expect
And
me
demanding
to fix all the pieces.
The problem is that when you come like that, the cup actually has a hole in the bottom.
Right.
So you pour all your good love in there and it goes out onto the floor. You have to figure out how to be happy, you know? And it was a little bit more contentious from my side. I was like, you know what? You go figure it out. You go figure out if you can be happy and just prove to me it's even possible. Right?
Not thinking about your own self.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do me and you do you.
What does it mean to love in freedom?
The simple idea is you love in freedom with everybody except your partner. There's a certain fluidity in your interactions, right? It's friendship versus marital prison.
Who?
You know what? Getting into a topic right the fuck away.
I had to.
No, I've actually just experienced this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a thing.
Meaning like having to be corrected or something else?
Diversity, equity, inclusion, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Diversity, equity, inclusion. Right?
Okay.
So pronouns are important.
I'm not naming any names. I'm not naming the locations or whatever the fuck, but it was in a gig. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to talk. So it was in the gig that I did. And it was with a theater company. And they, I've seen it here and there where they put the pronouns after their name. And then whatever. Right. And then when we were doing like an introduction, I guess that's part of this theater's thing that they
yeah, my name is Bruno. My name is Bruno Diaz. I go by he, him. He, him, his.
Yeah.
Right.
One of those. Or actually, they don't even say I go by. They just like automatically, that's part of like their introduction thing.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, like George Papa's he, she. He, him, you know? Sorry.
It's both.
No, it's all right.
Yeah.
That's how some people actually identify.
As both.
Either as both.
So you've seen the he and the she.
Them, they. Them and they.
Them, they. That's what I've seen. I've seen that one.
They.
Not the he, she. Them.
Okay.
Day. Right. So I'm like, okay, cool. All right, no problem. But you know, in talking, when you're at work, And there's a lot of times when we're just like doing whatever. And the words that we say, they don't actually mean a direct thing. Like, yeah, man. Hey, cool. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. All right, whatever. And you don't mean, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like you're begging something. It's just like a fucking like saying, right? Especially with me, I guess, or with us. I don't know. And yeah, and I guess I didn't really realize that part or whatever, or didn't pay any attention. But I respect everyone and their orientations. That I'm nothing at all, nothing against it at all. So I would be saying yes sir or whatever, just like, yeah, cool, man, all right, gotcha. Hey dude, what's up? And then one time, and I said, oh cool, yeah, can you hand me that? Thank you, sir. Cool. And it's not that someone was like above me or nothing like that. It's just like a fucking word, man. And then this person's like, I'm not a sir. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Right. I'm sorry. And then later I found myself going, and I was like, okay, I do feel bad about it. I didn't mean any disrespect. So I said to him, I was like, listen, before I apologize. I didn't mean any disrespect by it. And, sorry. He's like, no, you're fine. I was like, okay, cool. But that was the first time. And then today, and that happened, I think, yesterday or the day before. And then today it happened again, but with another person, but with that same individual that corrected me and corrected somebody else. Oh. He's like, hey man, can you pass me that? He's like, I'm not a man. And we're like, oh, I'm sorry. Cool.
Didn't mean to assume your gender.
So diversity is essentially about the quantitative representation of differences. It's about measuring how many women do we have within the workplace? How many people of color do we have on this board? How many people from the LGBTQ communities make up part of this society? And so much more. Inclusion is about not only the quantitative representation of difference, but more importantly, it's about the qualitative experience around differences. That is to say, when we're talking about inclusion, what we're really focusing on is the extent to which people can bring their whole, true, authentic cultural selves into their interaction. Inclusion is extremely important because when we're focusing on the qualitative experience of differences, what we're really trying to push is both authenticity, you're able to be who you are at your core, and still attract, opportunities. Equity is the one that is the most important of the three. Equity is defined essentially as our process of recognizing the historical legacies and the current realities of discrimination and prejudice that people from marginalized communities experience. I always say diversity and inclusion are extremely important, but really where you need to focus on the most is the concept of equity, because without equity, diversity and inclusion are not possible.
Yeah.
Kindly, respectfully.
Yeah. I think I just don't, what do I not do? I think I don't say much.
Right.
I think
yourself in that position.
Yeah, because I'm bad at it. I mean, and I know that, and it's not out of disrespect. It's just that
it's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just not, I'm not trained in that way. I'm not proficient in that way. I'm not, it's not something I'm used to.
That's not, I think it's safe to say that's not something we grew up with.
Not at all. And it's not something that, what's the best way to say this? It's not something that my family that I did grow up with recognizes as much yet. The younger generation does, but not the older.
Right. Mine either.
I probably would have to explain this whole thing that Bruno just said to my mother.
Yeah.
For her, she still probably doesn't even understand what they're talking about when they bring it up in the news or TV when she sees it. She's probably still wondering, like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Right.
So if I would explain it to her, she'll probably be really like, I don't know. And then my mom, when she's approached with something that makes her feel less than inadequate, because she was a school teacher and a scholar for a while, she gets defensive.
Right.
She gets majorly defensive. So in correcting her, she gets very, not like emotional crying. She's not that person, but just very defensive. You know what I'm saying? So she's either gets dismissive or she gets argumentative.
Kind of like, who are you to tell me and to teach me something new?
Or she'll cut at you, it becomes a back and forth thing. And it's like, oh my God. And so I won't say I was praying, but I was just really hoping that when she was going through her initial healing thing from coming from the hospital, that we weren't going to be put in that situation with some of the people that were visiting the house. Because I knew I wasn't going to always be there. Yeah. And I know my mother's very old school. And when she finds herself in a pickle, she tries to over-explain and it gets worse.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it's like
by trying to, in a way, apologize.
Yeah, it just gets worse.
It's like you pick up that fucking shovel and you're just digging yourself up that hole.
Yeah. So, I mean, luckily, we weren't put in the situation of having to identify anybody. We definitely had some people that came, but I mean, they just talked like they were all old friends. So it never hit a place that I was privy to or experienced that. I was like, oh my God, you know. So, that was just, I guess, my first
situation.
What's the other word?
Encounter.
In the pronoun correction.
Right.
And
for me, because I work like at a school, it is priority number one.
Sure.
Not to make anyone feel uncomfortable and not to assume anyone's gender.
Yeah.
And it's a sign that, look, it's people, of course, have the way, the appropriate way to feel about it and the appropriate way how they want to be identified as or don't want to be identified as.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very big part of training, I would say, in any kind of continued education that I've ever had. It's probably been one of the most interesting education segments of my training as an admissions director, as a leader in a school system. And it's, it's not only necessarily how the people feel. There are a lot of different kinds of ways people want to be identified as. And it's just important to know every single one of them because believe it or not, there are a lot.
Oh, yeah.
This may be the place. Obviously, the name of our podcast is The Gentleman, 3.5. It's everyone's pronouns here are the same and it's okay. It's cool, but, there are a lot of people out there, even like in my school system, there's a preferred name, first name, last name, and a preferred name in the file. And there's a lot of people who, there'll be a guy, someone who, someone that we meaning people who don't look too deeply into it would assume that's a man's name, but the preferred name is not a man's name.
Yeah. Like Sam.
Right. True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Sam, Casey.
Yeah.
So where it doesn't have to be necessarily identified as a man or a woman. In some cases, maybe there's even, as I was saying before, a man's name as the first name, but the preferred name may be a female name.
Right.
Maybe that's how they identify.
Right, because on legal paper, they have to state still their legal birth name. And then now,
they got to go through.
It's a bit more common. Their preferred name. Yeah.
Correct.
I've seen that more and more on paperwork.
Yeah. And
preferred name.
I don't know if any of you guys know, and I only know this because I have a really long, obnoxious last name and I looked into it. But changing your name legally is a real big rigmarole. It's not
as easy as you think it is.
It's not as easy.
I think the people that have gone through it really easy, it had to do either being a marriage situation,
correct,
or
citizenship.
Something government wise was happening to your identification.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I tried to get the Thornton part removed from my name years ago.
Right.
And it's not an easy task, so I had to kind of let it go,
Kanye just filed court papers to legally change his name to just Ye.
He's hot there, yeah.
How do you feel about this? Are you yay or nay?
Your mama named you that. You're Kanye.
I agree.
I don't care.
Look, I'm cool with the man changing his name.
Why?
But stick with one name, because this that Diddy been pulling for the last 16 years, going from Puff Daddy to Puffy to Diddy Love, back to Sean Combs, on to Love. Like, this is a name, not a shirt.
When I became a citizen when we were kids, right then and there when we were receiving our passports, the guy was like, even though I was a minor, he's like, okay, so this is your name. Is this what you would like your name to be? And I'm like, what? What? Like, yeah, you can actually change your name to whatever you want right now, without any other papers besides that one little thing where you can write your name. I'm like, whoa, shit. Well, let me think about it. No, I didn't. But I'm like, no, yeah, just keep this. But we did drop the second last name.
That was when you first came over, you say?
Yeah, when I first came over. Because in Peru and in most other Latin American countries, I think I might have mentioned this before, the reason why we have so many names is because we use more than one last name. We first use our father's last name, and then we use our mother's maiden name. And that's technically our second last name. Yeah, when we came, even in Peru, we still have our, it was how we were born, first name, middle name, then our father's last name, and then we have our mother's maiden name. So that one kind of automatically just kind of like fell off, and that's our general, like first name, middle, and sometimes you have like Jose Antonio as like a first name, and so then like a first name becomes two actual names put together without a hyphen, and then when women, I don't know if it still happens this way, but it used to be, because my mother would have her father's last name, her mother's maiden name, and then de Diaz, which is of the married of the Diaz of like the married name. So all that stuff goes away. Yeah.
So my full name is actually Carlitos El Sagad Velázquez.
My name is Mayra Ferrancha Correa.
My full name is Elisamel Vasquez.
My name is Paula Trusendi.
My full name is Norberto Briseño.
Not Carlos, because everyone's always like, oh, Carlos. Like if you're Latino, they're like, oh, Carlos. I'm like, no, me llamo Carlitos. Like my real name is Carlitos.
When Megan and I got married, we were thinking like, oh, we could change. When you get married, all the letters that are in the woman's last name and the man's last name, you can combine to create your own name if you wanted to. I never knew that. So at one point, Megan's like, do you want to do like Papa Ring? Do you want to do like
Ring Papa?
like Ring Papa. Do you want to do Rapa? Or you want to do something like, we were just like riffing with names. She ended up just like
Ping
hyphenating, right? She ended up just hyphenating. Ping. Oh my God, that's amazing. Pang.
Say,
That's
yeah,
that.
Pang. Say.
Oh, Papa Pang.
Papa Pang.
And that's amazing. We ended up just like hyphenating it.
My girlfriend,
it's pretty interesting.
My girlfriend, who's Ukrainian, she told me that they don't. It's not a middle name is not common over there.
It's not. No.
No, and I didn't know that. And I was like, "Oh, do you have a middle name?" She's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "What's your middle name?" This is when we were first getting to know each other and stuff. She's like, "No, I just have this and this." I'm like, "Oh." And she actually was one that changed her name. And now that we're getting like some of her awards and we're sending it to other people they've requested for when she was a kid still and winning competition and all these trophies, it still has her
whole name,
her birth last name. And then later on in life, as she became an adult, she changed it to her grandfather's last name, not her married name. She was married once, but she never took that name. And over there, also, you can take the husband's name, but it becomes like a
masculine version of a feminine version of the male name, right?
Yeah. Like by adding an A at the end of it, kind of thing.
Right. And
but depends on what the letter of the name finishes with. Right. Then they just add an A to make it the female version of it. And that also is not just for married people. I think that's for women in the family in general, I believe.
Right. I know a lot about this because I'm working on a ship and having all Ukrainian dancers on in my cast, and I was so enamored by it. I was like, this is so cool and so different than our culture. It's like
I came across it when working with like brother sister acts,
right?
And stuff,
You
know?
right.
Like, or when they actually do become when couples get married.
Right.
Like
so interesting.
It's the same, but it's not. There's like an extra letter.
Yeah,
it's the same but different.
Yeah,
it's the same but different.
Different, see?
That's exactly what I would prescribe. Dr. Newman's right on the button. Yeah, sure. Penicillin's just fine. And please do me a favor. Take it the whole 9 days. Don't stop just because you feel good. All right? And that should get rid of that old strep throat. Yes, indeed. All right, you have a fine doctor. Bye-bye.
Why is she taking penicillin?
She has strep throat.
Oh. Well, I would have liked to have talked to her.
Well, she didn't ask for you, dear. She's just talking to me, you know.
But I'm her mother.
Right, you are. But you are not a doctor. You're not a doctor.
What did you tell her to do with the babies? She shouldn't be breathing on those babies.
Well, no, of course not. So I told her that she could wear a mask, you see.
A mask?
Yeah.
Fred, bacteria are tiny little whatever that can get through anything they please. See, now that's what I'm talking about. You told the child to use a mask. A mask. What is that going to do? A mask. That just goes to show you don't know anything about sick people. She needs her mother. She doesn't need a doctor. A mask indeed. I'm going over there. I will solve this problem myself. I'm going to go right over here. I'll call Francine. I'll take her with me because she's a grandmother too. Jesse James wore a mask. A lot of good that did people.
I'm just here for a little while. And then the angel of mercy will come and get me.
The Gents of 3.5.
Well, all right.